Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformation. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another episode of Life Transformation Radio. I am your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, business positioning strategist, and author, Sean Douglas. This show is currently heard in over 74 countries. So whether it's your first time joining us or you've been listening to us for some time, I want to thank you to those who are listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformation. Here, we tell the stories of why we're doing what we're doing. We highlight that transformational moment that changed our lives and how we use it to then transform others and elevate their lives as well. You can listen to us live on the Blog Talk Radio Network and join our Facebook group, Life Transformation Radio Community. Never miss an episode by subscribing wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. Life Transformation Radio can be heard on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn, Player FM, Radio Public, Overcast, Castbox, the Himalaya app, and now on Pandora. So wherever you listen to podcasts, please subscribe and leave us a rating and review and let us know how we're doing. On the show, my guests are entrepreneurs, speakers, business owners, coaches, podcasters, authors, amazing people who are impacting the world around them. And my guest today has done exactly that. If you have any questions for any of the guests that I bring on the show during our live broadcast, call us up at 657-383-1109. Again, the number is 657-383-1109. And with that, please help me welcome to the show my guest for today, Jen Plessis. Jen, welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
Thank you, Sean. I'm so excited to be here today.
I am super pumped. You are somebody that is just rocking the industry. You are so good at what you do. And I had the pleasure of having conversations with you and getting to know you. And I got to say, you are just absolutely crushing it at a level that most people would love to be at.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I titled this episode Mortgage Lending Mastery with speaker and author Jen Plessis. So let's learn more about Jen. She is the founder of Kinetic Spark Consulting, Black Fox Investments, and Valor Home Solutions. She is the author of Launch, How to Take Your Business to New Heights. She is also the host of first mortgage specific and top-rated podcast, Mortgage Lending Mastery. She spent over 35 years in residential mortgage lending and was ranked in the top 200 loan originators in the United States and in the top 1% for over 15 years. She's a self-proclaimed serial entrepreneur with extensive leadership and sales experience. Today, she's a highly sought-after international speaker and coach, sharing stages with Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Barbara Corcoran, Darren Hardy, Magic Johnson, and many more, who specialize in creating lifestyle businesses to help solopreneurs, sales professionals, mortgage loan originators, and realtors to multiply their results in record time while maintaining a commanding and prosperous personal lifestyle. She has appeared on Good Morning America, Sirius XM Radio, and Voice America Radio. Jen has been featured in such publications as The Wall Street Journal and The Washington Post, and is a regular contributor for Mortgage Executive Magazine and Mortgage Women Magazine. With all that said, please go to her website. It's right there in the show notes, Jen Plessis, Plessis, Jen Plessis.com. Her personal Facebook page, business page, and LinkedIn is right there in the show notes. Connect with her and let her know that you heard her on Life Transformation Radio. Jen, the first question I have to ask, and I believe is the most important question you could ever ask anybody, is why? Why do you do what you do?
Gosh, yeah. I mean, thank you for asking. Again, thank you so much for having me on the show, Sean. I absolutely adore what
Absolutely.
you're doing. I spent most of my life trying to make everybody else happy,
Mm-hmm.
and finally got to the point where I said, you know what, I need to make myself happy, and I learned how to do it, and I learned how to stop sabotaging everything around me by chasing, the almighty dollar and looking at life through a dollar sign. And if I can share that with other people so that they don't have to go through 35 years of sabotaging everything, I can help someone make that change right now, here, today, then that brings me the most joy in the world. That's why I do this.
I totally resonate with that, and I did it in my first business, and it drove me to. I mean, you put a smile on your face, right? But
Yeah.
you're under so much immense pressure, and you did it. You put the pressure on yourself. You're the one that's feeling that because of the decisions or the late night phone call because you feel like it's not working the way that you want it to, or your family is out having fun and you got one more deal. I just got to get one more deal. I just got to get one more sale, and
Yeah.
it takes a toll on you.
Oh no, it definitely does. And actually mine, was perpetrated from my family. I was told by my uncle that I would amount to nothing. I'd be like my father, an alcoholic,
Mm.
and like my mother, worthless. And for me, it became part of my DNA just to prove to everybody that I was worthy. And the only way I knew how to prove was to show it through money. And that
Mm.
was because that was what was planted for me. So for me, it was just chasing the dream about money, and it wasn't so much that I wanted to serve my clients really well. Of course I do, right? But that wasn't the driving force for me. It was just that failure was not making money. That was failure for me. And I realized that isn't failure. Failure is not having a life that you were destined to have, and making your job and your business the priority instead of everything around you, in your heart and in your body and your soul. And so I had to recalibrate all of that, all those messages from so many years ago, make sure that I got my head on straight so that I could move forward with the lifestyle that I really wanted.
Yeah, and moving forward, we try to make better decisions than what we did before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
at least, and I still kind of, there's some times where I'm like, man, I really got to take that. Like, I really have to take this call. But there's other times where I'm like, nah, I'll call him back. Or I'm going to I schedule family time now. I'm
Right.
not all
Right.
wrapped up in into the business as much as I was before. But I've learned to also hire out. I've just gotten smarter and more mature, as I've gone along in business. Um, the whole premise of the show is about transformation.
Mm-hmm.
So, for you, what is a transformational moment that happened in your life that put you on the path to what you're doing today?
It's a great question because, as I mentioned before about sabotage, just like you were saying about those clients, I was at dinner with my family, supposedly. I'm doing air quotes as I'm saying this, right? I was supposedly at dinner with my family. And of course, this has happened many times before, and it would still happen many times after, but it was the breakthrough that, made me say that was enough, the straw that broke the camel's back. And I was supposedly at dinner, and I was outside, and I was walking that that concrete curb balance beam that we all walk as we're talking to people, right? You're kind of floating back and forth, walking on the balance beam, and this is a client that just needed me, right? I have to take this call. I'm so sorry, but I have to take this call. And I happened to glance over and look through the window of the restaurant, and I saw my family, laughing and having a good time, creating memories without me in them. And it hit me hard that day. And in that moment I said, I have to do something different. I cannot continue to go down this path, and at that point I was 25 years into a 35-year career, my kids were in the business from the womb, so to speak. I mean, that's all they knew is this chaos that existed around mom. And, and my mom had this quote, and, I knew about this quote for a really long time, but it really didn't resonate with me until that very moment, which is that I don't even know what it is now. All of a sudden, I'm just thinking about it. I'm thinking about her and thinking about, what this quote is. But, there we go. We flatter those we scarcely know. We please the fleeting guests, but we deal many a thoughtless blow to those we love the best.
Oh, wow.
And it's so true because, we're so friendly with strangers and we're so friendly with clients. And then we, because they need us. Oh, they need me. They need me right now. But we tend to have so many thoughtless blows to the people around us, that we just push them aside all the time. And so here I had this quote in my life, in my entire life, and I wasn't living it, and I was trying to change things and I wasn't living it. And I was absolutely sabotaging everything, friends, relationships, family, spirituality, my health, because, the job was bigger and more important than eating, working out, everything, cultural experience. I didn't go on vacation. So that was when I said enough is enough. And I decided that I had to make a change.
That, when you said eating and health, I lived on 2 big green Monster cans every day for 4 years. I mean, I'd be pounding a Monster going into a meeting. I breakfast. What breakfast? I would never eat breakfast.
Right.
I'm like, I wake up, I get ready for the day, I'm out the door. I'll grab something on the way, and it's usually like something from McDonald's or like maybe there's like I don't know. I go into a business meeting and maybe they got the tray of bagels. Like I'll grab one of those. Or, whatever.
Right.
Lunch is usually something. Store bought or, again, fast food or, I don't know, a quick peanut butter and jelly, just because that's my thing. I love peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
I do too. That's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. My kids and I devour the Uncrustables, like the frozen peanut butter and jellies. We just devour those.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Well, for me, though, it wasn't like eating bad. It was not eating. Because if I had to eat, I would scarf it and I would be sick. I would just be sick. And so I'd rather not eat. If I'm going to have to eat fast, I'd rather not eat at all. So I didn't eat. I didn't have water. I didn't have anything. I just kind of ran on things. And you know what happened? I ended up having to have an emergency appendectomy because my organs just were drying up. And they weren't being, and I had that at 50 years old, and that's a teenager kind of thing, right?
Oh my gosh.
And that was, a wake up call for me, another breakthrough, that said, you have to start taking care of yourself and you have to take the time to eat. So it wasn't that I was consuming the wrong things, which I know a lot of people do. It was that I wasn't consuming anything.
Wow. Yeah, that's bad. How have you taken transformational moment and used it as the North Star, the focal point, whatever cliche you want to use? How have you taken your transformational moment and elevated the world around you?
Yeah, that's a really deep question.
We ask the hard questions on this show.
Yeah, I know. Well, as you and I've talked several times, there's one of my favorite sayings is to slow down to speed up instead of speeding up to slow down, because that's exactly what happened to me. I was speeding up and, everything was fast. And I needed to slow down so that I could recalibrate, again. And really, when I looked into that window in that restaurant, it was just like a movie where things just went really slow. And I thought, oh my gosh, here I am out here zipping around and there's life happening right there. And my daughter would even say, you don't remember when we were at that ski resort at whatever? And I don't even remember going to the ski resort, let alone something that happened at the ski resort, right? Because it was just, absolute
business.
chaos and,
business. Yep.
Yeah.
It was just business.
It was business. So I learned that I needed to heighten the awareness of what I really wanted in life and build a business around it rather than creating that crazy business plan that was all money driven and trying to squeeze me and my family and everything that I truly loved in.
Yeah, that's how my mom was. We would go on trips. And I mean, my mom has been an entrepreneur for many years. My uncle, my aunt, my other sister. I mean, we're just a family of entrepreneurs. And my mom, we would go on like a vacation somewhere, or I live in North Carolina. My older sister lives in South Carolina, so we're all gonna go over there. It's because my birthday's in July, my niece's birthday's in July. We're all gonna go there, and my grandma's gonna come down. It's gonna be amazing. And the whole time, I put on my calendar like I'm not here. Like for these 3 days, I'm gone. And I might check social media and check some emails and things like that. My mom brings her laptop, her other laptop, a bunch of files, work. Like she brings her work everywhere she goes.
Ooh, that's me.
And
that was me.
I was like, what are you doing? Like me and my sister looking at her, we're like, what are you doing? She's like, I got to get these files done. I got client work. I got all this other stuff. I got these files to file. I've got this paperwork to get done. I got to send this off and send this off and send this off. And me and my sister look at each other like, you need systems.
Right.
I have systems. I have a system. And I was like, we're just looking at her like, what are you, like, we're on vacation. Like, what are you doing? And she's up till 11 o'clock at night, finishing up paperwork. And I'm like, you're not even enjoying yourself. You're here for 3 days to see your kids who you never see because she's in Michigan. And all you're doing is work. So I'm out fishing.
It's a guilty
my
vacation.
Kids are out. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a guilty vacation. And, that was me too. And I would take everything. And then eventually, just out of the habit, I mean, I would take everything. And in fact, my husband and I went on a 5-day cruise. We're cruisers. And we went on a 5-day cruise one time. And I said, never again will I go on a 5-day cruise, because it took me till the 5th day to finally let everything go. And it was only those 2 days that I would enjoy myself, right? And then right back to the rat race. And I said, we can never go on a 5-day cruise. And I think just by the habit, the pure habit, and even in your mom's example, the pure habit of I've got to have everything with me in case somebody needs me, right? Even when I started changing things and really focusing on my values, right, I would still bring all those things because it was sort of like an attachment to me. It's like, I have to make sure that I have my glasses. I have to make sure that I have everything, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just in case, right?
Right.
And then it got to the point where, and it was such a habit to bring it. But the funny thing is, it became that I brought it all, but I never touched it. But I had to have that security blanket with me for such a long time. And it wasn't actually until, the last 3 years or so that I actually don't take it with me. So I took it with me, but didn't touch it. But then I don't take it with me at all. Right. And I think it's helpful that we have iWatches. It's helpful that we have, an iPad, which is a mini version of it if I need to connect.
For sure. Yep.
And our phones, but I needed that security blanket just to know that if I needed or wanted to look that thing up, I could look it up. I'd have it available, and I'd have my highlighter in case I need my highlighter, right? I mean, stupid stuff.
Oh my gosh!
I know. It's
I'm not that
stuff,
bad. Like I have my bag. Like I have like I
Of course, we all do, right?
In the military, we have these deployment bags.
Yeah.
And it's like a 72-hour bag just in case. It's like ready to go, and only twice in 18 years have I ever needed it. But it's there.
Yeah.
Every trip I go on, we went to we drove up from North Carolina to Michigan for Thanksgiving, and I brought my, I call it my entrepreneur deployment bag. So I got my laptop, I've got my podcast stuff, I've got my everything. I was like, oh my God, you never know. Like you're literally describing me right now.
Right.
Not like to the depth of highlighters, but I mean, I got my laptop, I got a book, I've got a couple. I always carry around. Some people call it a compendium. Some people call it, other things. It's just a notebook with all my notes in it. Some clients. It's almost like I'm a therapist. Like I'm just taking notes, And so I have all my stuff. Like this is how I run my business, And it's all in this like wheelable. like briefcase
well, the fact
deployment
that you
bag.
have to wheel it tells me there's a lot in it.
It's
well,
on wheels.
and it's funny because I have a small microphone that I bring with me just in case, right?
Yep.
And it attaches to my phone. It's a microphone that attaches to my iPhone.
I have one of those now.
Yeah, so that so I don't have to carry my big microphone anymore because I would carry my big microphone.
Yep. You're describing me. This isn't good.
Right.
It's the entrepreneur's life, I guess.
It is.
Oh my goodness.
It is. It definitely is. But it's definitely trimmed down, and I focus on it being trimmed down. And especially as much travel as I do now. I tore my rotator cuff because of all the stuff I was carrying.
Oh my gosh.
And I wasn't wheeling it; I was carrying it on my shoulder. And and I said, okay, well now it has to be smaller, and so now I don't look like I'm going to live on the airplane. As I make a
People
flight.
look at me like, what is this guy doing?
Right. All our things,
man.
and setting up my little office on the airplane and stuff.
Yep.
But it's about for me, my entire practice revolves around values, right? And that was how I was able to identify, what was important in my life. I just wasn't fulfilled, and no money in the world was going to make me fulfilled. And and so it stems from, really identifying my values, and all of my decisions are based on those values now. And it's so much easier to do the things I love to do. And it's like going on vacation every day, honestly. As we go on vacation, we get really busy, we get very intentional, very focused on our business, and we get so much done, and new business comes in as a result. And when that happens, we even think maybe we shouldn't go on vacation because I've got all this business. And the result of that, is that if I can do that same type of work every single day, so that I can go on my air quote vacation every single day, my life is going to be so much better, And for me, vacation is, dancing 2 to 3 hours a night, or, target practicing, or, being able to, take time off to be with my grandkids. And so I look at my life now is I get in, I get out. I'm 100% in business. I'm 100% focused.
Nice.
I'm 100% present. And then I leave business, and I am 100% present with my family, or with whatever it is that's feeding my soul, my health, my lifestyle, my cultural experiences. But that's what it had to take, was just identifying and creating boundaries around your values. Because so many people, it's like, well, one of my values is my family. Well, then why are you working until 11 o'clock at night? And look, I could ask myself the same question 15 years ago, right? If it really a family is a value for you, then why are you working until 11 o'clock at night? Well, because my clients need me. Oh, so your clients are your values. That's more valuable.
Yeah, I know how that is. Yeah, my wife asked me today, and she wasn't like upset, but she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I want to get Jen's show in. Like, it's very important that I get Jen's show in." She's like, "You never do it on a Saturday." I was like, "Yeah, but I got to get Jen's show in, because we're supposed to do it yesterday." And I was like, I got to get it done. I want to get Jen's show in before she goes on all this, because you have a lot going on. And I really want to like get stuff out there for you, because you do have a lot, coming up. And I'm like, I got to get her in, So it was important to me. And then it's just the one thing I have to do today. And then we're going to go do Christmas decorations and some other stuff. But she's like, you never do. Like, oh, okay. And so she takes notice of things when it's out of character. And I'm like, it's just the one, babe. It's just the one, I swear.
And you definitely do have anomalies. I mean, there's no doubt. But I think a lot of us business owners make every one of them, those anomalies turn into a habit. And that's really the key. And we definitely have those things. I mean, I had to do a podcast this morning right before this, because we had a challenge, with scheduling, this week as well. And so today ended up being a day that I'm just going to work, but that's okay, because I'm going to take another day off.
Right.
I just shifted it, and I'm really big on don't erase it, replace it. Don't erase my dance, erase those things. Just replace it, maneuver your calendar around in another way so that you can still experience the joy of, whatever it is that fulfills you.
For sure. That's a great example. How to be flexible, and we kind of have to be. There's so much. There's so much that could happen. And in the past week and a half, I've experienced so many ups and downs. It's like an emotional roller coaster, and we got to, I guess, not prioritize, but really like take stock, like really control our calendars. And
Yeah.
there's things that have come up, and I'm like, oh, like I thought it was this, like, come on, and then something else gets pushed, and like, it's the one thing that really makes me mad about being an entrepreneur is that my time is scheduled, and everything, like, if you look at my calendar, I've got from 1 to 2, 2 to 3. I know what I'm doing. I know what I should be doing, and every single moment of my time is scheduled. And then when something comes up, I'm like, now I know what's going to happen. And I immediately go to negative. And I'm a resilience trainer. I immediately go negative. I got to push
Right.
this appointment. And because I know the ramifications, and I try to schedule some failures in. I'm like, well, if there's traffic, I can just cut for more time. And so I'm really good about that. What I'm not good
Yeah, I was going to
about is
say white space. Yeah.
right. What I'm not good about is if I say, okay, I've got this one appointment from 10 to 11 and it's 11:30, and I'm like, come on, like, I gotta go. I got things to be doing. So when appointments run long, or somebody else is late, and I'm like, oh, come on, we gotta get going. And or I get told that it's only this amount of time for this one event, but it's actually extra time. I'm like, no way. Like, not what was said. So that's the one thing I really control my time very well. But it's outside forces that really kind of mess it up for me.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, and it was funny because I was talking to someone the other day, and she actually asked me. She says, again, I was talking about priority management, because I actually call it priority
Hmm.
management, not time blocking, because we
Oh,
can't
got it.
block
That's
time,
awesome.
or
Sure.
it is that we're managing our priorities, and making sure that the most important things get done, and everything else has to go by the side.
Hmm.
I think one of the things that happens with entrepreneurs is that they tend to well, just I think it's hard it's hard for me to describe, because
Yeah.
it's just something that we tend to do is, we're just so worried about taking care of our clients, all the time, um, that we're not able to prioritize recognizing the priority. Everything's a priority, right? And so this woman was telling me, she said, do you ever get pushback on people, because I get too distracted all the time. I get distracted. And actually, she's someone I'm coaching, she's a doctor. And
Hmm.
so she gets
Oh.
these, emergency calls and whatnot. And I said, well, that's no different than any other entrepreneur. We get emergency calls for something.
Yep.
And she said, but do you get pushback, on people, putting people into all of these boxes, so to speak, of these priority management, because there's too many distractions, as you were just saying. And I said, no, I don't actually get pushback. I think it's just the lack of understanding that, again, we want to replace it, not erase it, when there's something.
Hmm.
So, with the exception of anything that's family, period, end of story, it's not going to happen. That's, for me,
Right.
it's just
Yep.
not. I've got the boundary on it, and if and life's too short. And I know you have kids. You've got little kids, and it's so easy to
Yep.
say, you know what, I'll go to the next baseball game, and I'll go to the next
Yep.
recital. But that's no, you can't do that. You can't do that. Your clients have to wait. And I think it's the difference between being on demand and being in demand. And
Mm.
when you're on demand, you're living everyone else's life. And when you're in demand, you're in control of your practice and and your entire life. And I will tell you that, so for example, if you wanted to have a meeting with Tony Robbins right now, and I've
Hmm.
spoken with Tony, I maybe could get
That's
in a
so
little
cool.
earlier, but if
That's
you want to
amazing.
have a meeting with Tony Robbins, it might be 9 months before you could even get in.
Right.
And people will
I
wait,
I don't doubt it.
right? No, wait. What do you think Tony's thinking about? Do you think he's running around going, oh my gosh, I can't meet them until 9 months. Oh my gosh, they're going to leave me. They're not going to
Nope.
work with me. No,
He's in
because
the
he's
moment.
in demand. Right. So he has so much value. So when you're placing so much value, for your customers and everybody around you, they're willing to wait. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not that I'm not taking care of them. I promise I'm taking care of them, and I promise you will take care of them. But you can't be at everyone's beck and call. You just can't. You have a life. And I
Right.
think it's about setting expectations with them up front too, and saying that, look, if you're going to call me at 5:00, you need to know that I'm not going to call you back. And then it's 5:05 and someone says, I know you said you won't call back at 5, but I really, really need you. Just don't respond. And if they don't like it, you'll have another client that understands it. I promise you will. Because my practice grew when I stopped being everybody's favorite or being available to everybody. It actually grew. And do you think Tony Robbins' business would have grown if he jumped every time somebody needed him?
Oh, no way.
Absolutely no way. And by the way, Tony's not right. And Tony's, not in great health these days, but because he's still pushing himself in other areas and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Had he done what I'm talking about, he wouldn't be where he is at all.
For sure.
So it's not that we're not taking care of our clients. And this is what I love to say to my clients. When I'm about ready to walk into a meeting, I'm with my family right now. Would it be okay if I call you tomorrow between 3 and 5 when I'm in front of my computer and I can dedicate 100% of my time and attention to serving you?
I like that.
No. I don't want you to dedicate 100% of your time and attention to serving me.
Said nobody ever.
No one's ever said that. But they have said, oh, you said between 2 and 5. Can I be the first call? Yes, you sure can. And notice I said 2 and 5 because one of the things that we do is we say, can I call you back at 3:30? 3:30 comes and goes and we're freaking out.
Right.
It's 3:30. I told him I call him at 3:30.
Yep.
Oh, my God. Right?
Yep.
And we're freaking out and we
that.
put all this stress on ourselves. So give yourself some time. Just say between 2 and 5 or 1 and 4 or whatever it is. And during those times, make that call back. Make sure you do, but make that call back. And people are so grateful. Like, thank you so much for calling back. Absolutely. I'm ready to take care of you. What do you need? And now you're not walking up and down the aisles at the grocery store with your kids screaming and running back and forth, killing each other, grabbing marshmallows off the lower shelf and mushing them and having them fly all over the place, which is what happened to me.
That's happened.
And while I'm on the phone going, oh, yeah, that's fine. I can take care of you. And putting them on hold and screaming at the kids and then saying, yeah, next Tuesday at 10:00 at the Starbucks down on Main Street. Perfect. Hang up the phone and wonder what in the heck I just had a conversation about. And I have to call them back anyway and find out where are we meeting and when and what. Wait, remind me.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Like you literally described probably 75% of all entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
Like, especially if they're like single parents or if they're like, oh yeah. And somebody's shaking their head right now like, yep, that's me.
That's me. Wait a minute. Is she following me? Right.
Right.
Because
How
that's
does she
me.
know
I mean,
that?
our mess is our message, right? I mean, that
Yep.
was me. That was me too. Screaming at the kids. Couldn't remember the conversation. And we don't look professional when we do that. And so, but we think we are because we're getting back to them in that timely fashion. And that's really where I'm saying, I promise you will take better care of them when you have your full attention toward them.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. In the remaining about 10 minutes that we have, I want to dive into your podcast, Mortgage Lending Mastery. Tell us the story behind that. Who are your listeners? How can my listeners here on Life Transformation Radio, how can they learn more about Mortgage Lending Mastery and subscribe to your show?
Well, thank you. So Mortgage Lending Mastery started, I became in the top 200 of loan officers in the country. And to kind of give you some context on that, at the time, there were 780,000 loan officers in the country. And this was before the credit crisis, right?
Yep.
And so everybody was a loan officer, right? And so I'm in the top 200. And whenever that happens, and always in the top 1%, which would have been the top 78,000 loan officers, right? Which is still a lot. Crazy.
Yeah, right.
Right. And, I would get all these calls from people just saying, hey, can I pick your brain? How'd you do it? How'd you do it? And, what a lot of people may not know is in the mortgage industry, when I got into the industry, and actually I've been in longer than I say, because I actually was in the industry when I was in high school with DECA. I would type on a typewriter and learn shorthand so that I could be a secretary, because that's what we were supposed to do. And half of the day I typed title policies on a typewriter that didn't have the ability to delete. Right? We didn't. Right. In fact, to take you way back, we didn't even have the little white pieces of paper to go back and erase things. It was just crazy. It was just weird. But anyway, I typed them, and then later in college, I delivered title policies on my bicycle, because we didn't have fax machines or anything like that. And I'm really dating myself. And but yeah, so people would call, and so I ended up really being one of, I would say 4 to 5 women in the industry that pioneered the industry for women. And so I would get all these calls from men and women. How did you do it? How did you do it? And after a while, I just didn't. And I'm such a giving person. I would take the time with them, but I didn't have the time anymore to be able to, answer their questions. So I thought, well, I'll start a podcast. And, on January 1st, 2020, my podcast will be celebrating 5 years. And
wow.
Which is kind of like one of the longer podcasts that are out there these
days.
Right. But we'll be celebrating 5 years, and it was my means to be able to answer questions and help people, become successful too, and just explain how I did it, and kind of morphed into personal and professional development. So now I don't have just loan officers or realtors or people that are in the industry, but I also have people like you. You've been on my podcast. People like you that come in and share about personal development, and professional development, like leadership and resilience and, team management and time management and sales and marketing and branding, and all the things that go into that industry, because loan officers and realtors and entrepreneurs, they also listen as well. They're all working independently. They may have a company, real estate agent doesn't own a RE/MAX office necessarily. They work at a RE/MAX office, so they're all independent and they're solopreneurs. So all of these things really help them. And that's really what I want to do, is just help people succeed and, grow. And, the great thing about it is that then people ask me if I'll come and speak at their, sales rallies and conferences and in and out of the business. And then obviously coaching people in and out of the business as a result of that as well. Mm-hmm. Just in the areas that they're lacking in, or gap, they have a gap, and it's keeping them up at night.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool. And what's the best way for them to subscribe to that show?
You can go to, I was listening to you. You have your show on a bunch of platforms. So do I. I just don't know all the names of the platforms.
Sure.
But definitely on iTunes and Stitcher. All those. They're, Anchor. It's
anywhere.
Any place. Yeah, anywhere you
Perfect.
can find Mortgage Lending Mastery. Yep.
Perfect. What I like to do at the end is give you an opportunity to do a shameless plug. You can plug programs, products, services, your books, whatever it is that you want the audience, the listeners, to go further with you after the show. Here is your moment. Shamelessly plug. Go.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm really big on asking people, if you've heard something today that resonates with you, and you saying, this has got to change for me. I have to transform. I have to make a transformation in my life because I can't continue to do this. I would just love to have a conversation with you. If you're open to a conversation, for me to learn more about you and to see how I might be able to help you overcome whatever challenge you're having in your business and identify the gap that you're having to get where you want to go, I welcome that opportunity for a strategy session. And you can go to my website at jenduplessis.com and connect with me there and just say, Jen, I need your help. That's what I'm here to do. I'd love that opportunity to help you, move your business forward and create the lifestyle that you've always wanted.
Love it. What is the takeaway of the show? We always have one piece, that nugget of knowledge. What is the one takeaway that we've talked about today that you really want the listeners to know and understand?
Mm-hmm. If you want your life back and you don't want your business to own you, and you want to now own your business and your life, stop talking about it, take action, and get the results you're looking for.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on the show. This is absolutely amazing. You are rocking it, crushing it, and you have so many events that you're getting ready to speak at in 2020. It's incredible.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm excited. I just want to be able to impact the world, and that's what we all want to do, right, at some point.
Yep.
So thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I love what you do. And every time I talk to you, I just want to remind you again, thank you for your service to our country. I am so honored to know someone like you that is willing to put their life on the line for me. And I just appreciate that you're sharing your stories with everybody else as well.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Life Transformation Radio listeners, an amazing guest impacting the world around her. If anything has resonated with you that Jen and I have talked about today, please connect with her. Go to her website, Jen Duplessis, Plessis, JenDuplessis.com. In the show notes is the personal and business Facebook pages, and then there's LinkedIn right there. Send her a message and let her know that you heard her on Life Transformation Radio. And with that, I close the show by saying, live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the core values that you hold deep in your heart. And I call this living your brand. So until next episode, live a great life.